Yes, let's start with CrewConnect service design. Imagine yourself signing up and attending a workshop that you have wanted to go for a long time. It goes well, the facilitator is great, knowledgeable, it's all good. And then suddenly the facilitator says, oh, just split into teams, won't you? And you don't know anybody. And there are people groups, and you're just walking around like this guy, scratching head, sweaty palms, and like, what am I supposed to do? We don't want this situation. We want happy organizers and well-performing teams. That's where CrewConnect steps in. We're creating diverse teams for success. Diverse, we take into consideration skills and character. Why are we doing service design? Well, it's not just for this course. It's also because for us, we need to understand how do organizers and how do attendees feel. We need to empathize with them, their pain points. We can imagine how we can improve this process so it's more enjoyable for them and also for us. And we can test and launch a service that brings up the experience even better. On to the project.
Now that you know our big why, it is time for you to understand our project. Firstly, the team that will be bringing this presentation to you is the founders of CrewConnect, Alisa, Selina, and myself, Christiana. Our problem is that we haven't really thought about how our product will be looking from the perspective of the customer or the client. That's why our goal is to create a service design journey for our product, CrewConnect. We'll be doing this through the stakeholder mapping, persona creating, service journey, service blueprint, and presentation creation. And our key performance indicators were conducting interviews with participants and organizers, stakeholder mapping, 2 service journeys, 2 persona creations. And our special KPIs were testing our product in real life, creating landing page, and setting up a ClickUp. But let's get into the project. I know you all are waiting for that moment. Stakeholder mapping. You need to understand what is a stakeholder and what is a shareholder. Shareholder will be the person who owns a part of the company, whereas stakeholders will be the ones who impact the company. But you will see who are they, especially a bit later. So why should you stakeholder map? Firstly, identify and analyze the stakeholders' influence on the service. What are they doing for your service? And of course, who has the biggest influence? And stakeholder relationships, how they interact with each other and with ourselves. So let's take one example. For example, these circles. A lot of you have seen these circles. But for example, main players. Us, hackathon organizers, platform developers, hackathon attendees without the teams. Those are the people who are the key components. They have a big or direct influence on the product outcome, implementation, and creation. Then we move a bit forward. We have directly involved stakeholders, people who are directly affected or can affect the team's results. And then we move even further. We have indirectly involved. They are not really actively engaged. They aren't the ones you usually think of, but they still are impacted by the results or can impact you. But all of this was fun, but the real value we had only when we understood how they interact with each other, but we're not going to get into this right now. But I would love to show you another example, the Mendelon matrix, which for me was brilliant in its simplicity, or it showed you how to interact with each stakeholder based on their influence and interest. For example, if they have low interest and low interest, they should be just monitored. For example, attendees with a team. They aren't really interested how the other teams will be looking, or they don't really influence how the other teams will be splitting up because they have their own team. They don't really care. Or what if they have big interest but low influence? They should be informed. But big influence, small interest, keep satisfied. But the most important, big influence and big interest, they should be managed closely. So for you to take away from this stakeholder mapping is that it is a very crucial part for you to understand just where everybody is standing and how you can interact with them, impact them, and it is a kind of a big stepping stone for future partnerships. And let's move on to the empathizing with customers and the users. First, again, a little definition, customers and users. Customers for us is the event organizers purchasing services, and users are participants engaging in team building. Remember that we will be using both of these definitions in our presentation furthermore. So, for us to empathize, the first initial thought was, okay, we need to interview people. That's why we conducted interviews. That's right. And we conducted interviews with junior team and leaders program participants who recently also split into teams. And we asked them a lot of questions, but our most important goal was to understand how they feel in the workshops, hackathons, and how they feel in the team formation process. That's why we had a big database, which helped us to develop our user persona. And the short descriptions is that they are a student interested in building his or her career. They want to contribute to a winning team. And of course, they need a diversity around them. And they also want to learn new skills. The challenges are mostly social challenges, for example, small talk, going up to new people, many people in one place. But their opportunities is the ability to create an actual startup or a team who is capable of a lot of things. And the customer persona, which is a bit different. Remember what is a customer? That's right, those are the organizers. So basically, they are organizers, facilitators, moderators, already specialized in their own field. And their goal is to make the event worthwhile for the attendees. They need good reviews. And their challenges are usually manual workload or not enough time. But their opportunities is minimizing the manual workload. And creating these personas helped us to develop empathy maps, and these empathy maps helped us to develop
journey maps. Why does it matter? Because usually you don't just wake up and buy, oh, iCloud storage 200 gigabytes. No, it's a whole process that you have to think about. So journey map is a combination of like this whole story, the actions, the emotions. How does the customer feel? How do they even get the problem that they need to seek the service or product as a solution? So the stages are that it usually starts with awareness, that they realize, oh, I might have a problem, for example, with teams in my workshops. I don't think they like the teams that they're working on. And that will lead to considering solutions, pros and cons lists about what to choose. And then a decision, hopefully to decide to buy your product and service. This is the journey map that we created for this just split into teams, the process that usually happens now where the moderator, facilitator says, okay, so you're a group of people, now make 5 teams, okay? And then it's just a whole mess and an awkward situation. So we have organizers and also attendees in this case too. And then we made the process that we would like to see in 6 months with the CrewConnect or let's say also another tool, like how would the journey look like? And for customers, usually starts with meetings, because that's when they talk with other organizers and they understand, hey, yeah, we will have participants. Some of them have teams, some of them don't have teams. So the process actually starts way behind the event. So that was a nice realization on the way. And once the customer buys the product, the service, it becomes a user. So we also looked at the process during the event, the user journey map, like what do they have to fill out? How do they feel when they register to the event? So that was a whole lot of steps that they need to go through, their needs, their feelings, and maybe some roadblocks that they might have on the way that helped us to eliminate, I don't know, excess steps that can be a struggle for us. So takeaways for us is that don't create too many stages. We want to create the front end and back end for organizers, like how do they organize even the event, and that just was too messy for us and for the initial journey. And customer journey can also be user journey. So be aware of the names and words you use. Now, what did we test?
Yes, some smart people say the more you fuck around, the more you find out. So that's exactly what we did by creating our minimal viable product and testing it in the Textual Students Challenge. We did it by the method of Wizard of Oz, which is recreating a product in the backend manually while the user actually thinks it's working. And we did it with this personality test, which Ilse reminded us of, so thank you. Each of these shapes has a meaning. For example, the triangle is a leader, the squiggly line is more of a creative person, and the square is more of an analytical person. This was one test that we used for the attendees, as well as we created our own custom 3H test, which consisted of questions, and in the end it told you which type of person you are. What did we find out? Well, for the actual team division, we used only this test because we had only the time we had at the event. And we created quite a diverse set of teams. Some were diverse based on the shapes, some were quite similar. Why? Because we wanted in the end to see how each of these teams work and does it really work. But after that, we analyzed for ourselves the data of Hacker, Hustler, Hipster, and you can see that it doesn't really align. Some teams that were diverse with shapes are not diverse with this method. So we need to keep analyzing and understanding how do we implement this. So overall, we understood that placebo effect works in team division as well, because people were thinking like, how did you do it? Like, how our teams were so good? Some people actually told us, and it was only the shape method. And the shape and 3H results don't really align, so we still need to test that after the student challenge ends and we understand what are the results. So all of this testing led us to understand we need a service blueprint.
So, service blueprint, we would say that it's like a treasury map, because it shows the whole process and journey that you have to go through in order to get that treasure or that gold that you want to dig up. And it shows the collaboration or the lack of it between people and technologies. It helps for you to stay customer-centric, eliminate maybe some excess steps that you have to make the process faster, and also focus on scalability, how you can make the service blueprint more and more easier, let's say. This is the one we made. We have organizer actions, attendee actions, what they see front end on the platform that we want to create, and also what our platform needs to do in order for that whole process to happen. For now, it's quite short and simple because we still have to test around a lot. And yeah, don't make it too difficult that you won't be able to explain it to others, because we were working together with Christian. I was like, okay, I don't understand this step, let's change it. So make it as easy for you to understand and explain to other teammates. And backend and support actions aren't the same. Support actions, if you want to include that in your blueprint, are more strategic. So if you want to raise awareness, it's more like focusing on marketing or maybe building the SEO of your landing page.
Yes, exactly. We need people to know about our product. So we created the landing page. It is actually created in Cloudflow. The only thing we need to do is to set up the domain and publish it. This is how it looks. It's mainly dedicated for us to get the people who want to test the landing page or to sign up for the waiting list for when the product is going to be created. So the conclusion of the whole project is we did create all the deliverables. The only KPI we didn't reach is the interview with organizers, and here we only tested 43, not 50 participants. The next steps for us would be to publish the landing page, just set up the domain, upscale our MVP, and keep testing. But our reflections, the 3 words for me that stood out the most for this project, for our teamwork as I was reflecting, were trust, alignment, and communication. These were the most important for me.
For me, it was definitely the simplicity of things. For example, the stakeholder map, which was the most simple one, was the one which helped me the most.
For me, it's do better a quick test than a long, thorough theoretical research without any practical approach. Because Selena mentioned earlier, it's very nice to do this like Wizard of Oz testing when people are like, "Oh, I have such a great team," when actually they might have all this, like they have the same shapes. They're all, for example, circles, and they're like, "Oh, I think the algorithm worked very well," but it was Selena with the Google Sheets. So test that algorithm and keep designing with empathy.
Smile for the camera.
Okay, we have time for feedback.
Yes.
Safety. For what you said, how much time you put into this, I think it's really good, the presentation. Plus, I'm not sure if even you rehearsed. If not, then it just gets better and better, the presentation style for you. I had a lot of pluses. I think you could put a bit more emphasis on the problem itself, kind of trying to explain just for yourself. For the sake of yourself understanding it better and better, you could maybe try to test out more ways how you try to kind of share it. What is really the problem? Because currently it's a guy scratching head, and then kind of there's associated feelings with it. But it's just kind of something you can try to, for organizers afterwards as well, it's going to be easier. Regarding that, I really enjoyed it. And I think I can only add on the presentation that fuck around and we will find out. I think it's still really good that you did try this approach, and that led to new insights, which is amazing. So, thanks for me.
Okay. For me, as I said already before, that this is kind of a test for me as well, because I'm actually first time teaching for business students, service design basic course, and I have been teaching it for designers and now for service designers. So this was kind of for me like a little bit like kind of seeing from different perspective how can you implement actually service design in business environment, and I love it. I think you did it great. Of course, I see that it's still kind of the main line is this business line, and then but still I love that you used service design as kind of just approach how you see the things, and I think that was great. I really like that you used these 3 diamonds, which are not the 2 diamonds, which I was telling in the lecture. But yes, so indeed we have the 3 diamond as well as approach, and I love to see that you actually dig deeper and looked for some other things, what I didn't have time to explain you during the lecture. What I can suggest for you to I know that you are BA level students, and this is kind of a little bit more basic than master students, but still I think you could see how you can turn your text way of presentation. You had a lot of text to kind of more schematic drawings and diagrams, and especially service blueprint and stakeholder map as well. Actually, it's for us as a people who are just watching it first time, it's really hard to get everything what is on the screen, so it would help. And what else? Yeah, I like that you also, because you were like kind of juggling with user and customer, but I still I understand that you are still going through this from a business perspective. So, because in service design we talk only about users, and it doesn't matter what kind of user, who is providing service or who is getting the service. So, but still, for you as a business project, I think it was great. So, in total, congratulations, you did well, and your presentation style was fantastic. So, great. And how you divided the roles during your presentation, it was nice as well.
We have time for questions.
Yeah. Any questions? I have just like 5-second thing. When you have like a lot of graphs and information on it, you can, at some point it was confusing because you showed a lot of information, but there wasn't time to grasp it. It's good that you pinpoint out only maybe 1 or 2 things that I should know from the big graph. You just kind of pinpoint this, and this was actually, you look at these 2 things, the rest is, we did the rest, but you look at these. So it's good for presenting.
A question regarding the themes that you created. Was there a theory behind it? Well, kind of, I understood it as a bit random. And what insights did you get? What themes performed better? Like, was it the designer guys, the creative ones? Squiggly lines, I understood, was the pink ones. Yeah. There's one theme with almost only the creative people and one analytical.
Yes.
And like, what was the comparison?
Yes, as I mentioned also, we created diverse sets of themes for us to understand and see how they differ. Does theme with only triangles perform different or should perform worse than a theme that is like not should
Full of-
could in theory hypotheses. Then a theme who has like all shapes, and we will see the actual results of the performance when the students challenge ends, and we can see the projects that they have made. So for us, it's only now the first.
It's pending data.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now we did the feedback survey of how do they feel in teams, and it was 8.5. I think it was 8.5.
An average of 8.5.
This theme, which is here you can see, it's diverse in colors and in these hipster hustler.
Yes,
hacker.
all 3 of them.
I think they had a good chemistry, so that from the data side is quite well.
But we
Yeah,
will still
it's
have
well balanced.
2 weeks to observe.
It's
Okay.
early to give
Awesome.
insights.
Awesome.
I would love to hear the results.
Yeah.
Any more questions?